Greetings, Dr. Dominique Reese here. I am the owner of Reese Financial Services, where I'm the Chief Financial Coach and Planner. And today I am bringing you a training called the Breakthrough Budgeting Masterclass Training. And in this training, we are going to cover a few things. So let us get started. We're going to cover, let's make sure you can see my screen. And I'm also going to check the chat for any questions that may be coming through. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that. So hopefully you can see my screen as it's loading. And we're going to cover why you should be focusing on budgeting right now. I know these are turbulent times. There is a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. People are concerned about money, what you should do with it, what you shouldn't do with it, how to make more of it, how to protect it. And so we're going to focus on budgeting, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why. We're going to cover 3 types of budgeting to help you understand which may be the best for you. 30-minute budgeting and why that concept is your key to financial freedom. And then lastly, I'm going to talk to you about how you can get some support if you desire some more intimate one-on-one or accountability for where you are right now. And then I'm going to take some questions. I think that's very important to hear from you. So I want to be sure that I take some time to make sure your questions are answered. So what I am going to do, I'm going to make sure that I mute everyone. And if you have any questions, I will unmute you. Just raise your hand or chat me in the chat. I'll be checking that as well. Any questions that may come through, especially if you don't want to talk or you don't want to show your video, you don't have to. Just hit me up on the chat, okay? So I thank you for tuning in tonight. And again, turbulent times, not exactly sure what's going on, how to protect yourself in these times, how to make the most of what you have. So we want to focus on budgeting, and budgeting is going to be the focus because it tells you what you can comfortably afford to do. I know it sounds cliche. I know you should budget, right? But most times we don't know how. We don't know how to create one that we'll stick to. We don't know the power of it, especially if we're not using it. And traditionally, I think it's just been a waste of time for most people. You may not have seen the benefits of what it means to budget. So ideally, you probably don't do it because of those reasons. You just don't see the benefits of it. So I want to help you understand what those benefits are and how you can do it so that it does benefit you and you can see some changes in your numbers and you can have information that you can then take advantage of. And that's really what budgeting does. It allows you to have information. With information, you can then make decisions. And if you make informed decisions, now you're in the know. You're not simply doing what you're doing because you know there's money there. You know how much money is in the account. You know how much money shouldn't be spent. You know what's coming up and what to prepare for. So ultimately, you want to be able to be in the know. And that's what budgeting does. It allows you to be in the know. It allows you to make informed decisions. There's no guessing. There's no uncertainty. And in these times when there's enough uncertainty already in the marketplace, you don't want to create more of that. You want to take control of the things that you can take control of. And in this environment, that is so important because you want to feel like you're empowered. You want to feel like you're not just at the whims of what's around you. So when we think about what we can control our households. We can control the numbers that are coming in and out. And no matter what your financial situation is, no matter how bleak it may be, no matter how grand it may be, focusing on budgeting right now is so important because it's going to help you understand the next few months, the next few weeks, the next few days. and if it is a practice that you have not begun to master, I pray and hope that today's quick masterclass is going to give you one, information that you can implement tonight. Two, the idea that it's easy. It doesn't require a lot from you. And when we talk about the 30-minute budgeting concept, I'm hoping to dispel some myths and answer any questions that might come up around budgeting. But ultimately, we want to be able to adopt this behavior, not just make it another thing that you know you should do. If you're not doing it, we want to start doing it. If you are doing it, you want to get better at it. And if you're already great at it, we want to see what opportunities may be ahead of you, or what opportunities there are to do it a little differently, to get different information. And that's what we're going to talk about in the 3 types of budgeting. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and chat them in. I'll be checking the chat intermittently, and we'll go from there. So the 3 types of budgeting. I want to introduce these 3 types of budgeting to you because budgeting is not for everyone, at least not all kinds of budgeting. So I work with my clients around 3 types of budgeting in particular. One is called the 30-day look back, and it is a tool that I developed to help clients check in about their past. So you may hear the saying, you don't know where you're going until you know your past, right? You need to know your history so you know where you're going. Well, that saying resonates financially as well. You want to know what the past can teach you about today and tomorrow. And so with the 30-day look back, it is an exercise and it's a tool. It's a tool that I send you when you're a client, and you use this tool to think about, examine, and go back to the past. That's why it's called the 30-day look back. Now, ideally, when working with clients, I suggest they go back 90 days. So it really can be a 30 to 90-day look back. But what's the point of it? The point is that you will take a look and really examine every single expense and income from the past 30 days. And you will log it, and you will categorize them according to the different types of expenses that they are. Now you're sitting with all this information. You're sitting with numbers and you're sitting with categories. And you will know exactly where your money has gone for the past 30 to 90 days. Now, if you do 90 days, you're going to have a lot of information. That is awesome, because you're going to get a glimpse into your behavior over a 90-day period. 90 days is the equivalent of 1 quarter. There are 4 quarters in the year. So the more data you have, the more information you have about your behavior. Money is behavioral. And so with the 30-day look back, you're able to see what your behavior has been over the past 30 days. Now, I don't know when's the last time you've been able to do that, but when was the last time you were able to do that? When was the last time you checked in to see what kind of financial behavior you had, not based on your memory, because your memory is only so good, but based on the numbers. Those bank statements, they have numbers, they have dates. And when you sit down with them and you log every transaction that came in, every transaction that went out for 30 days, you now have indisputable data. So it doesn't matter what you thought you did. Those numbers are telling a story. And I like to say the numbers tell a story and they never lie. Sometimes we lie to ourselves. We really do. We lie to ourselves about what we're doing and the way that we should be doing it. But those numbers are going to give you exactly what you've done. And it's just you and the numbers. It is a way to check in about yourself like never before. I like to tell clients sometimes it's like facing the music. Because again, you can have an idea of what you think you've been doing financially. And when you see those numbers, it'll give you the truth. And so this is so important because you finally get to tap in, not only to just what the numbers are and how much, but the beauty of the 30-day look back is that it gives you frequency. It tells you how often you're spending your money. And we tend to have a different spending behavior during the week than we do on the weekend. And now, during these times when we're somewhat quarantined inside our homes, I would imagine that we are spending less money on certain types of things that we weren't spending money on before. Or if our money were going to certain areas before and there hasn't been any change, there could be some opportunities. And you may have seen an increase in your spending. I see the questions coming in, so thank you. I am totally going to answer those questions, and this one's relevant. So send your questions in, and I'm going to get to them via chat. Send them on in. How often should we do a 30-day look back? Great question. That depends on your budgeting style and frequency, which I'll talk about. So your budgeting style is going to depend on the type of person you are. Are you a pen and paper type of person? I am. So I like pen and paper. Are you a techie, meaning you like to use all the latest techs to help manage your money? Are you a spreadsheet type of person? Are you a software, QuickBooks, or what's the other one, like Mint? There's different softwares that are out there and different apps as well. I'm a pen and paper type of girl. And when I work with clients, I train them around pen and paper first. Why? Because money is behavioral. So your style of budgeting is impacting your ability to maintain that budget. So if you're downloading apps, but you're a pen and paper type of person, you're not going to use those apps. It's not the style that aligns with your behavior. So first, you want to make sure that your style of budgeting aligns with your behavior. Second is your budgeting frequency. How often you should be budgeting is a factor of how often you need to check in with your numbers. When I was like totally all over the place with my money, couldn't get it together, living paycheck to paycheck, I had to budget daily. Out of budgeting daily, I was in the know about my numbers and what I spent every day. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Because of that, when I got to do a 30-day look back, I was kind of already in the know because I had been doing my budgeting daily. But let's say I wasn't doing my budgeting daily, and eventually I shifted to doing it every 2 weeks. But I would conduct a 30-day look back every month. Every month, because at the end of a full month, especially if depending on how you're counting your months, like if it's from paycheck to paycheck or if it's literally from the 1st to the 31st. But if it's paycheck to paycheck, you can do that every 30 days, every pay cycle. But I like to sit with the numbers at least 30 days out because it's going to give you an accurate depiction of the behavior from the past 30 days. And now you have numbers, you have categories, and you have frequency. So you can do a lot with that because you're going to find out things about yourself that you may not have known outside of these numbers presenting that data to you. You may find that you go to Target every week. Now, why would you do that? Why do you need to go to Target every week? And then you'll see not only when you go to Target, I always spend more than $20. So now you're tapping into your behavior. Now you're understanding, okay, well, why am I doing that? And does that need to continue? Is this something I want to start, stop, change, or continue? Those are the 4 questions you ask with every expense. And then you can honestly answer it. Okay, well, no, I don't need to go to Target every week. And I definitely don't need to spend over $20 every time I go, unless X, Y, and Z. But now, because you're checking in and you see what the numbers are telling you, you can become more proactive. You know you're going to go to Target. You know that's going to happen. We're not saying don't go to Target. But what we are saying is when you go with a plan, go with the list, go on a certain day. Or maybe you don't go at all and you do online shopping and you take advantage of some of the coupons or the deals that might be online. So as you become more strategic, you should see a change in your numbers. And the reason why the 30-day look back is so powerful is because you also get to create budgets for everything that you spend your money on. So for Target, for example, you may notice that you went 6 times in 1 month and that you spent $250. And really, you didn't have to do that. So if that's the case, you might decide, you know what? I'm going to go to Target. So let's just start there. But I'm going to set a budget of $125. That's literally half of what you just spent from the past 30 days. Very big difference, right? Very big difference between just going to Target whenever you want, spending whatever you want, and then this next 30-day period being very intentional, deliberate, and strategic by saying, I know I'm going to go to Target over the next 30 days, and I have set a budget of $125. That's a little bit of like over $40 a week. So even if you were to go once a week, your budget would be about $40. And this is now information that's top of mind because you just sat with these numbers. And there is no way that you were going to walk into Target after having done this example, after having done this exercise, and not remember these numbers. Those numbers will be top of mind. And now you'll be shopping and you'll be like, oh, I have like a 40-something dollar budget. Now, even if you go over that budget, because the budget can't stop you from doing what you're going to do, right? I told you in the beginning, a budget will tell you what you can afford to do comfortably. So that's all it's going to do. It's up to you to control yourself once you're there. But when you're there, that number that you gave yourself, okay, I got about $40, I got about 125 for the whole month. So even if I go over this $40 for the week, I know it's going to come out of the total budget that I've given myself for Target, which is $125 for the month. And then let's say you go another time. You're like, okay, this is my second time going, and I spent $60 the last time. So now I've got about $60 that I've got left within this budget for the rest of the month. That is a very different behavior. Notice the level of awareness, right? You're not just going to go and spending whatever. You're going, you're intentional, and you're aware of your numbers. You're aware of what you said you would do. Before, you may not have had those kinds of interventions in place. So the 30-day look back is such an important document, and you want to do it at least every 30 days. That way you're in the know about your behavior and you have the ability to change it for the next 30-day period. You don't have to wait. You'll get the data that you collect and you'll ask yourself, okay, well, next month, do I want to do that? Do I want to spend that much at Target? And you may decide 125 is too much. You may go down to 75. Now, just imagine the savings you created right then and there. You went from spending $250 at a business to now $75. That is significant. And to be able to really see those savings, you would want to transfer that exact amount of money that you're saving to your savings account. That way you realize the savings. They're not just written on paper. You can literally say, last month I spent $250 at Target. This month I'm not spending that amount. I'm only giving myself X amount, and then I'm gonna put the difference in my savings account. If I had it to spend last month, I'm sure I have it to spend this month. Let me go ahead and put that away right now. And now you've not only increased your savings by finding money you didn't think you had, but you did. And that's the whole point. This 30-day look back is so powerful. It gives you information about your behavior. It gives you information about your numbers and accurate information. You're going to use your bank statements to log these things. It's not enough to just pull out the bank statements and say, oh, yeah, they're all there. You're going to go old school and take a pen and paper and log every transaction on pen and paper. And that muscle memory, you're going to be like, dang, I did a lot of transactions last month. So you're going to feel it. You're going to feel your behavior as you're doing the exercise. And even that feeling itself, you might be like, I don't even want to spend this much money next month. This was a lot of transactions. I had a lot of transactions. That may not feel good to you. So these exercises are not busy work. They literally give you information that you would not otherwise have unless you sat down with it. All right, we had a question. Can you speak more on flexibility within budget? When is it okay to change a budget? Great question. It is okay to change a budget whenever it does not serve you. We don't do things, at least in Master My Money and in my community, we don't do things that don't serve us, which is why this training is so important, because if you're not budgeting, then that's not serving you. So we want to change that. And if you are budgeting and you're finding it's just not working out for you, switch it up. Give yourself permission to change things that do not serve you. And I'm sure that can apply in all areas of our lives, not just finances. But we change things that don't work and we do them immediately. In business, as a businesswoman, you have to be decisive and you have to be quick with making decisions, because when you don't, it can cost you money. So I always try to relay that same principle to clients. Stop doing things that don't serve you and switch it up quickly. Okay. And I always also like to say, give yourself 30 days to test out anything you're doing with your money. Testing out the 30-day look back itself is a test. In 30 days, you'll be able to see what that exercise did for you. You do it one time, I promise you, it will be like nothing you've ever done, because I don't know when, but if you have not sat and dove into your numbers, then when are you? When do you plan on doing that? And it's not until you get that training and the push to say, okay, this is something different, let me try it. There's no penalties. There's no scolding you for not doing it before now. You have the information today. Let's implement it tonight. It's a Friday night. We're stuck at home. What else are we going to do but focus on the things that really matter? How does our necessary bills fall into our budget? Great question. Necessary bills fall into your budget because they're necessary, right? So you know there are monies that are going to be spent every month. Doesn't matter. And you know what those expenses tend to be. What is going to happen when you look at your 30-day look back? You will get even more in the know about just what's necessary and just what's not necessary. And this is what I mean when I say finding money you didn't think you had. When you sit with that 30-day look back, it is going to blow your mind. And I'll see by the end of our training if I can pull one up for you, just like one of my old ones, and show you just how deep it can get. And if not, I'll email it out because I know I have them. But I like to see my numbers written out. I mean, literally, the frequency with which you do things can be so automatic, so autopilot. And again, our behavior tends to be different during the week than it is during the weekends. So you might discover, I make most of my purchases during the week. Or you may discover, I make most of my purchases on the weekend because I'm working during the week. So that gives you some type of insight as to how you can create your own interventions. The busier you are, maybe the less money you spend because you're not out and about. Or maybe you're an online spender, and that's going to come through from your 30-day look back, because you'll be able to see where every expense is coming from, where everything is going. This information is so critical. Mindset plus behavior equals outcome. So when we focus on the behavior piece, that's what is lending to the outcomes we see. Whatever financial situation you have as of today, the amount of money in your bank account as of today is a result of decisions that we have made days ago, weeks ago, months ago. And so you have to realize whatever decisions you're making today are going to impact what you see in your bank account tomorrow, in a few days, in a few weeks, in a few months. And in this environment where, again, we don't know if we're going to have a job, we don't know if we're going to be able to see clients, we don't know how much money might be coming in, we don't know if we're going to have to file unemployment. We don't know so many things. What do you know? You do know where your money went 30 days ago. And you do know that that information would be very helpful to you for the next 30 days. And so that's why we're here, to learn how to mine for that information, take that data, analyze it, and then use it to move forward. So that is the first type of budgeting, the 30-day look back. And if you've tried everything else and you haven't tried the 30-day look back, that might be the one for you. Second type of budgeting, tracking. Now, I get a lot of pushback around tracking, typically from my male clients, because I would have them carry a little notebook, a little pocket notebook with a little spiral, old school. You just flip it and you write it down like the old school detective movies, and they had the little notepad. That's a tracker. Tracking is literally writing down everything coming in and going out in real time, every day. And so I have what's called a 7-day tracking challenge that I give to clients. And it's very simple. Starting today, we're going to track everything coming in and everything going out. And they're like, okay, no problem. It's not a problem until you get to about day 3 or 4. By then, and I have done this so many times, I've been able to track these kinds of results. Day 1, you're usually excited, or you're not, but you're doing it anyway. Sometimes clients really fight this because it's a change to your behavior. Who really wants to whip out a little notepad and write something down every time they make a purchase? Well, that's part of it. Money's behavioral. So if I can create strategies to help you shock your behavior, to help you like shake it up, that's what I'm going to do, because that's what you have to do in order to get a different result. You can't keep doing the same things. So these strategies are really going to require some commitment from you. Nevertheless, day 1, you whip out your notepad, you make a purchase at the gas station, you write it down. Now, do you have to use a notepad? No, you could use your phone. You can have a notepad app in your phone. But I'm a pen and paper type of girl, so I like pen and paper, but you can totally use your phone or technology to also document your expenses. The key is to do it every day. Now, daily discipline is difficult. I will say this again. Daily discipline is difficult. And I'll give you a short example within the example. I have another challenge, a savings challenge, where I have clients save 10 cents a day. Now that's 70 cents for the week. Sounds like a no-brainer, right? I could save 10 cents a day. I do this challenge for 2 reasons. 1, to show you that money is behavioral, and it really is. And then 2, to show you just how much it's not about how much you save, but instead the behavior. People always forget to save the 10 cents. So it's not about the amount. Oh, I forgot to do it today. Well, that's part of the challenge. Oh, I'll just put a quarter in and that'll make up for 2 days. No, 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 no. Those were not your instructions. Your instructions were to save 10 cents a day without forgetting. And so the daily discipline is what we're talking about here. So when we're tracking, that's what usually gets in the way. Clients just simply forget, oh, I forgot to write that down. And then they get discouraged, or they're like, oh, whatever, I forgot today. It don't matter. I'll start next week. Oh, no, you won't start next week. You will start the minute you remembered you forgot. And let me say that again. You will not start next week. You will start the minute that you remembered you forgot. Why do we need to start next week? What about right now? Aren't you about to go to the store? Don't you still have the rest of the day to finish? Why can't we just pick up from where we left off? Doesn't matter what we forgot. Let's just get back on the horse. So again, motivation, coaching, accountability, it matters to our money. We tell ourselves, oh, I'll start next week. It's a fresh week. Our money don't need that. Our money needs time. It doesn't even need us. It just needs time. So the more time we take from it by saying, oh, I'll put it off to next week, the less time we have to get it right. So we can't take it for granted. And with tracking, you're in the know every day about what's coming in and what's going out. Now, it's not just about the transactions that you're conducting in real life, in real time. It's also about tracking the expenses and income that are coming in electronically. So let's say you get paid, right? And you have direct deposit. Well, in your tracker, you need to write direct deposit and the amount for that day. Let's say you set up your insurance payment. Well, when that insurance payment goes out on that day, you need to write it in your tracker, insurance payment, $205. And then at the end of the week, full 7 days have passed. You look in your tracker and you do what you did in the 30-day look back. You add up the numbers and you create categories. So now you say, okay, over 7 days, I spent $175 at the grocery store. And it doesn't matter which grocery store, you'll add up all of the grocery store expenses. I spent $120 on gas for my truck, which is very feasible for people who own trucks, right? So that's a lot of money to just not be tracking, right? So now you're like, wow, okay, I spent, and then you have these amounts and categories. But why is this important? This is not about the past. This is about the now, the everyday of the past 7 days. Whereas the 30-day look back was about the past. Tracking is about the present. It's about getting in the know of what you do with your money on a daily and weekly basis. And so with this information, this is even more powerful because now you can decide by tomorrow what you will and won't do. You can decide, okay, I see that on the weekends, I didn't spend any money. I barely spent anything because I'm at home or I'm cleaning or X, Y, and Z, right? Whatever you're doing on the weekends. Or you may find that's when I spent the most money on the weekends. So again, data is going to give you information that you didn't have before. And you can now ask yourself, how do I feel about the numbers that I see? First question. Second question, is this something I want to start, stop, change, or continue? Is this expense an expense I want to continue, or is this an expense that I want to change or stop? And then it might be, okay, I want to change it. Okay, well, what does that look like? I actually want to decrease the amount of times that I go to the gas station. Now we know gas is it's a necessity. You got to have gas to get where you got to get to. But maybe you don't have to fill it up until it hits the last notch or the notch before last. Or maybe you don't fill it up until every Friday of the week. Like now you begin to implement strategy that is going to impact your numbers. And again, you're testing it out. Test it out for 30 days. How did that work out for me? Well, you know what? It actually worked really well that I only go to the gas station on Thursdays because by then I'm almost on E, not quite. And then I'm revving up and I'm going to be at home for the weekend. So I'm not spending any of the gas. Like you've got to tap into what's best for you. But once you see the story that is being told with your numbers, let that drive what you should do because you're going to have a feeling about it. That's why I said the first question is, how do I feel about the numbers that I see here? And you're going to do the same thing with the 30-day look back. You're going to have a feeling about the numbers you see. Sit with that. Don't ignore that. Give yourself permission to sit with how you feel about what your numbers are revealing to you. And when you do that, you're going to then know, okay, I need to change this. Or actually, I need to continue this. And here's an example of what that might look like. With tracking, you might realize, okay, I got paid this week. Let's say it's a pay week. And that could be from your business or from your job or both or any streams of income. But you notice, okay, I had 3 payments this week. I got paid 3 times this week. Money came into my household 3 times this week. In any of those pages, 7 days worth of tracking, did you have a line item for savings? And if you didn't, we want to change that. And this is going to be the time where it is super duper okay to increase an expense. That expense is going to be called savings. For some of you, it may go from 0 to a new number. For others, it may go from an existing number to a higher number. But the point I'm making here is this is another way to implement strategies for saving. It's going to be obvious right in front of you. You're either saving or you're not, right? There's either an automatic transfer that's happening, and when it happens, you're going to write it in your tracker, or there isn't an automatic transfer happening and there isn't a manual transaction happening where you're saving. And if you look at your tracker after 7 days and you see you don't have any line item for savings, you need to add one. Because if money is coming in, you gotta take a portion of it and put it aside. So the tracking is a budgeting tool and technique to get you in the know about your numbers today for the present. The 30-day look back is about the past, but you can see how both of them together will make wonders happen for your financial life. And I've used both, and then I started to share this with clients, and these are 2 client strategies that I implement in my curriculum hands down. Every client I work with who's going to be working on a budget will learn these particular types of strategies. Third type, the IE. So I stands for income, E stands for expenses. And I would say this is probably the most common type of budgeting where you simply list what's coming in and you list what's going out. And some people do that every month. And that's it. This is coming in, that's going out. I know what's happening. However, it's not always the most effective. And ideally, it could be based on how it's set up and how it's being used. So I want to talk to you about how you can improve that strategy, especially if it's one that you're already doing. Now, we've already talked about the past and we've talked about the present. So you can guess this third one is about the future. And this goes right into what I was saying about how this type of budgeting is being used and implemented. Now, ideally, when you do IE, yes, you're listing everything that's coming in and you're listing everything that's going out. But it doesn't stop there. What's important is that you realize this is about the future. This is about projecting. So today is March 27th. If we were using the IE budgeting method, we would be listing the income that's coming in for the next 30 days and the expenses that are going out for the next 30 days. All about projecting, all about the future, and ideally the next 30 days. You could go for the next pay period or next 2 weeks. Again, frequency and style, you determine that because that's how you set yourself up to budget successfully. So we don't want you doing something that doesn't serve you. You won't stick to it. The way you stick to a budget is to build it properly, understand your style and frequency, and then commit to doing it. So with IE, we're projecting. So today's March 27th. If we're using the IE method, we're going to be projecting our expenses for the entire month of April and our income for the entire month of April. Now, that's still not it. Projecting. We're just projecting. So these are truly budgeted numbers. So going back to that example from Target, right? So if we were spending $250 at Target, well, now we want to spend, let's just cut it in half, $125 at Target. That's our budgeted number. However, we're going to have actual numbers. So when you build this particular budget, you want to be sure that you have two columns under your expenses. You want to be sure that you have the budgeted amount, which in our example for Target would be 125, and then an actual amount, which you'll get at the end of the month. Now, here's where it gets a lot more interesting. If you do the 30-day look back, you will have all of the numbers for the past 30 days. So when May 1st rolls around, you can now look at the entire month of April and see exactly how many times you went to Target and exactly how much you spent. And that's going to be your actual numbers. So now I hope you start to see how all three of these tools are necessary and can be helpful if you use all three. They dovetail into each other. So you use your 30-day look back to get your actual numbers. And that's what you would put in the actual column for Target. So now you know, okay, I budgeted 125 at the beginning of the month. Now we're at the end of the month and I actually spent 123. I'm right in budget. So now you know, not only was that a good number, you tested it out for the 30-day period and it worked, you stayed under budget, and now you can use that number moving forward with a lot more certainty. Now, of course, this accounts for anything that may or may not have been abnormal that month. Let's say it was a few birthdays and you went to Target, right? It's like, okay, well, there were a few birthdays. But if there weren't those birthdays, I probably would have spent even less. So now you have more information to get you in the know about your numbers. And when you have this kind of information, it just gives you so much control. You don't feel like your money is just leaving you all the time. You don't feel like you have to spend money. You're actually so much in control of it, you're telling the money where to go. Okay, money, you're going to go to Target this month and you're only going in the amount of $100 versus you just living your life and you go to Target and you spend $100 when you go. It creates a very different spending pattern, spending behavior. And so again, the IE, so very important because we use it to project. And in these times where we're not sure what's going to happen with our income, kind of more certain around the expenses, right? But when you don't know what's happening with your income, these tools together can totally help you. And then with tracking, let's say you did go to Target this week and we're in the new month of April and you budgeted $125 for Target. Well, that week, you're going to be in the know already. Okay, I went to Target this week. It's right here in my tracker. And I spent $25. Awesome. That's even under the budget of 40, right? So you're on track to staying within your budget for the month. And you already know that. And depending upon the type of budget you're using, paper and pen, spreadsheet, whatever, when I use my IE, I use a spreadsheet because when I'm tracking, again, all these things go into each other. When I'm tracking for that week, I can take that number of what I may have spent for the week, go directly to my spreadsheet and just type it in. That way, it's already done. So my 30-day look back is it's like I'm doing the 30-day look back as I'm tracking within my larger IE. So I have a column where I can input actual expenses and the spreadsheet's going to automatically calculate it for me. So then I'm in the know every week about what's going to happen. I saw a question come through. Let me check for that. If you're more of a spontaneous spender, do you suggest doing the tracking type of budgeting? Well, you tell me, right? This is a great question. You know you better than I do. You know you better than anyone does. So, first question, How do you feel about being a spontaneous spender? And if you're okay with that, then you ask, okay, is this something I want to start, stop, change, or continue? Is it serving you to be a spontaneous spender? And if you find that it is, then hey, what's the problem? If it's not broke, why fix it? But if you find that it's not serving you, then we've got something to talk about. And in that case, you would want to ask, well, what does serve you? Does it serve you to be less spontaneous and more planned? If so, which would help you do that most effectively? It could be tracking so you can get in the know about that spontaneity. Like, just how much is my spontaneity costing me? Tracking would help you get in the know right now. 30-day look back would tell you just how much your spontaneity has cost you over the past 30 days. So now you're getting some information that might hurt your feelings. So that's good though, because money is behavioral. So you need that shock to your system to really see, is this serving me? I think it's serving me, but let me see what my numbers are telling me. Okay. And then with the IE, you now gain control of that spontaneity. Okay, it cost me $300 last month, my spontaneous self. Moving forward, next 30 days, I want that to look more like 150, 175, 250, whatever it is. Or okay, I'll come back to that. I have an example, but so you may decide you don't want to spend that much moving forward. This is where you start to get control using the IE type of budgeting, because now you're being deliberate and intentional about where you're telling your money it's going to go. All right, you went there last month. You're not going there again. I'm going to take 150, leave it to the spontaneous me, and then I'm going to take that other 150 and I'm going to redirect it to the areas that matter most to me. That's how we get control. That's how we switch this whole thing up. So I hope you can see just how these three very different types of budgeting, but they all work together, especially if we're using them every month. All right, got some more questions coming in. Really appreciate that. All right. Is it possible to send a template for the IE budget? Of course it is. And at the end, I will give you my contact information. So I'm going to leave the burden on you to email me and say, hey, I want the IE budget template. Could you send it to me? Okay, that's going to show me you really want it. If I sent it out, I feel like sometimes people don't use half the things I send out. So I'm going to just make sure that you want it by putting the burden on you to ask for it. So thank you, ma'am. Yes, I'll give you the contact info and you can just email me and tell me what template you would like. That is really good info. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you showing up. I knew this would be helpful in these times when we're really like not in the know about things. You've got to know you still control something. And when it's your money and you can really get control of it, I promise you, everything in divine order, you start to get more of it. It is like the law. It's a universal law. And it's not just about getting more of it from places you don't expect. You can, but it's about finding what's already there that you're not tapping because of your spending behavior. So the spending is just consuming your budget. And the minute you get in the know, you're like, oh, no, we're not doing that again. Oh, no, I don't have to have that bill. Or I'm going to go down and demote that plan. Or, you know what, for the next 30 days, I don't need it. Let me test without it. Save that $50. Like, you really get to take control in a way that you may not have ever taken control without looking at the data. And this doesn't cost you anything. This doesn't cost you anything but time. So, Oh, okay. You use the 52-week challenge. Yay! It has helped me a lot in saving. Thank you. Thank you. And again, this stuff is real. Everything I share and teach, I have done it. So I know it works. It's just convincing others. And I really don't convince anymore. Everything in divine order. When you're ready for it, you'll use it. But that 52-week savings challenge is a great way to save small amounts for larger gains. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you want more info about the 52-week savings challenge, I can do you one better and I will send it to you. Let me see. Let me make a little running list of notes. That way I'm sure to send it in the chat. So in the chat, I will put the 52-week savings link. So if you're interested, you can sign up for that. It's absolutely free. And you'll start to get emails every week to help you save small amounts. The challenge is a real sacrifice right now, but I'm still on target. That's why it's a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it were easy, we would just be doing it, and then we'll have so much money we wouldn't know what to do with it. This stuff, it's got to have some kind of grit. It's got to have some kind of sacrifice. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it and doing it so easily. But it's like we know better, but we don't do better because life gets real, right? And you have to make decisions. And sometimes it is a pure sacrifice. Like, all right, I'm just gonna go without that. And yeah, it may feel better to have it, but once you go without it or you extend or delay, it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't need it. And maybe I don't have to have it. Or maybe I can change what it looks like, change the provider, change how often I get it. Like when your mind is doing the work on you, then your behavior is going to support that. So again, mindset plus behavior equals outcome. Stick to that challenge. I'm so proud of you. Stay on target. And even if you can't do the amount for that week, because it's really going to ramp up. Like imagine when we get to like week 44, right? It's going to be like $44 this week, $45 next week, but that's $89 in 2 weeks that you would have saved. So again, these are challenges for a reason. It's meant to be just a little bit of a sacrifice over time. But I'm so proud of you for sticking to it. And guess what? At the end of it, you're going to be proud of yourself too, because you're going to show yourself what you can truly do, even in these most uncertain times. All right, 30-minute budgeting concept. Now, 30 minutes is really all it takes to start creating financial freedom. What do I mean by that? First of all, what is financial freedom, right? It's something different to everyone. No one has the same idea. No one has the same amounts of money. No one has the same situation. So financial freedom to you is something different than it is to me. But what's required is the same. And so let's talk a little bit about what's required. Question. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate your input. I appreciate you showing up. So, this 30-minute budgeting concept, this concept that 30 minutes can get me to financial freedom. Well, why is that? Budgeting, as I've just broke it down for you, 3 types, right? Each type is going to require time. No way around it. And darn it, I forgot my calculator, but I believe I have this quoted down to the minute. There are 10,080 minutes in a week. And if someone can just verify that for me, oh, I have a calculator up. I was doing some math. So let's see. 24, oh, wait, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours times 24 hours in a day equals, oh, wait a second, I did something wrong. 24 hours times 60 minutes equals 1,440 minutes in a day times 7 days equals 10,080. Yes. So there are 10,080 minutes in a week. Let that sink in. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. You mean to tell me you can't take 30 minutes to budget? Like, it is such a far-fetched idea to me that we have such grand ideas, grand hopes, grand dreams, but then we can't take 30 minutes out of the 10,000 minutes that we get every week to sit with our numbers. Talk about sacrifice, right? Talk about sacrifice. 30 minutes out of 10,000 minutes. Why can't we do that? Because we don't have time. You have 10,000 minutes. If you never had 10,000 of anything, you've got 10,000 minutes. I mean, I can't express to you how important this is. Everything in divine order. If you've never had 10,000 of anything, talk about control, talk about what you do have, talk about gratitude. You have 10,000 minutes. Can you commit to 30 just to focus on your numbers once a week? That's all that's being asked. That's all your financial future is like. Can you please just take 30 minutes out of the 10,000 so that we straight in the future? So that we're not, down on our luck and broke and not having savings and can't prepare for a $500 emergency? Because that's what the stats are telling us. The stats are telling us that we just don't save enough. We don't have any assets. We're broke. We live paycheck to paycheck. We have high debt. That's what the stats are telling us. And you know your situation better than anyone. So when it comes to this 30-minute budgeting in order to get financial freedom, I wanted to couch it. I wanted to frame it within the framework that you have 10,000 minutes a week. 30 minutes can get you to freedom simply by sitting with your numbers and doing those exercises I just talked about. The 30-day look back, the tracking, the IE. 30 minutes. Some will take a little longer than that. You've got 10,000 minutes a week. I will let you be the judge of how you spend your time. So be intentional, be deliberate. Ever since I started being intentional and deliberate with my time, and notice I'm really not talking money here. We're talking budgeting, but I'm not talking money because money is behavioral. Behavior is what you do. What you do takes up your time. So how are you spending your time? And if you're not putting any attention into your numbers, how do you expect for your numbers to get better? Just by making more money? No. Behavior shows that when you make more, you spend more because money's behavioral, not because money just accumulates. No, it's a tool, just like a hammer. What you do with the hammer is going to have an impact on what you build. So the same thing with your money. You must become intentional and deliberate with your time and give 30 minutes a week out of the 10,000 that you have to your numbers. And you now know 3 different ways that you can do that. Okay? The second is to become disciplined. Once you've made a decision to be intentional and deliberate with your time, what comes from that is discipline. It's like a year ago for me, I started a coaching program. I enrolled $2,500 and I'm going to learn about social media because I really didn't want to do it, but I know I needed to do it. And I needed the basics, like for real, the basics. So in this program, my coach said, listen, don't try to be on everything. Choose one and just be consistent. And I said, okay, I'll do that. I chose Facebook and I decided to go with this idea of Tip Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I was going to talk about money. In the beginning, it was difficult. And there were some times where I didn't even do it on a Tuesday. It was like Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes it was even on a Saturday. But I committed that even if I wasn't going to do it on a Tuesday, I had to produce a video that week. I couldn't let the week go by without producing the video. Now, of course, the goal is to do it on the day I said I'd do it. But behaviorally, what happened? Life got in one Tuesday, and before I knew it, my son and homework and dinner and, oh, Tip Tuesday, I didn't do my Tip Tuesday, and I'm tired, right? Excuses at the end of the day, but very valid excuses, but excuses. So the next day will roll around, and eventually, and by eventually, let's just say 90 days, because they say it takes 90 days to incorporate a new habit, to adopt a new habit. So don't expect any of this stuff to work overnight and then to just be on it. Expect it to work when you give it energy. You're in control. So I noticed when I missed a Tip Tuesday and I did it on another day, I didn't feel good about it. And I felt like I was letting myself down. Like, Dominique, you can't commit to doing one thing. One thing you said you would do on one day, and you get 7 days. Like, my mindset had to shift. Mindset plus behavior equals outcome. So then it got to the point was like, nah, I'm not missing a Tuesday. And then it became just like the thing I look forward to doing. And that's how this budgeting thing works. You've just got to get disciplined with it. You've got to know it is going to interrupt the flow of things. It will. But what doesn't when you're trying something new? So give yourself permission, one, to make the decision to commit to it. I commit to budgeting 30 minutes a week. That's even a declaration that you could say every morning. I say 22 declarations every morning, and they just help to instill everything I got going on. So much so, I've recorded it. So now I can hear it. I hear the vibration in my system when I say it, and it aligns with my recording, and I know it like the back of my head now. I can recite them, and they work. I commit to 30 minutes of budgeting a week. And every week, if you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to get results. There's no way you couldn't get results. Like, let's think about this on the flip side, right? If we're not saying that right now, what kind of results are you getting? So if you're not budgeting right now, what kind of results are you getting, right? So if you started budgeting, what kind of results could you be getting? And the only way you'll know is to start. So you have to be intentional. You have to be deliberate with your time. You've got to value your time like nobody else values your time, not even your job. You can't let other things value your time more than you do. Time is money, and our money only needs time. It doesn't need us. It needs time. So the quicker we can put it to work and where it needs to be, the quicker it can do what it's supposed to do. But we don't have it where it needs to be. So we got to get it there. And this is how. In your calendar, you choose a day and you commit to 30 minutes of budgeting and you set the timer. And this is how I've also become more productive in other areas. So you'll see that this exercise can help you in anything. 30-minute blocks of time are very good times to do things, because one, it's not too much time, and two, sometimes things don't take as long as they need to take. We just draw it out. So you say, I'm going to do this thing in the next 30 minutes, and you turn off the phone, no Facebook, no distractions, no checking email, 30 minutes, one activity. Timer goes off, you look up, and you ask yourself, okay, how do I feel? I completed the task, or actually, I need another 30-minute time block. And now you gave yourself permission to do that which serves you. Or you might have to say, okay, I already have another commitment. I'm going to come back to this. And you've given yourself permission to walk away and come back. So we're taking control and gaining discipline. Now, thirdly, you got to get educated. And that's what you're doing here. So you've already learned about the 3 different types of budgeting. Now it's just choosing which one might be best for you, or using all 3 of them together, and learn what you don't know. Especially now, we got a lot of time, right? I mean, for the most part, you have more time than you did before. You still have the same 10,000 minutes, just like I do. What are you doing with it? Let's get educated. Invest in yourself. Look at things that you haven't looked at in a while. Take some time to pick up a new understanding. Read a new book. Read an old book. Like, this is the time to go inward. Get educated about the things that matter. And then when you take that break and when you relax, man, is it so much rewarding. Like, I'm going to relax after this training, and I'm looking forward to it because I was on it all day today. I had to learn some things. The city is putting out a grant where there's going to be free money for us from the city as well as from the federal. I got to get educated about this stuff so then I can share it with you. But at the same time, I'm getting educated. It is so important. Again, I can't stress it enough. This stuff is free. You can Google what you don't know. So there's no reason why you shouldn't know something. We got to get more disciplined, and we got to stop making excuses saying we don't have time. You know who don't have time right now? The people who have already passed away from coronavirus. They don't have time. We are still here. We have all the time we could possibly ask for. So if you're going to get serious about building your wealth, getting your financial house in order, stop wasting your time. Stop telling yourself you want this, but you're not willing to put the time into doing it. Or you say, I don't have the time. You now know you have 10,000 minutes a week. And if you've never had 10,000 of anything, you've got 10,000 minutes. What are you going to do with it? Are you a good steward of your time? If you're not, then you won't be a good steward of your resources. You won't be a good steward of your cents. You won't be a good steward of your dollars. So this has got to resonate with you. It has to sit somewhere to where you don't like how it's feeling that you've wasted time. Because it's the one thing we all have if we're on this training right now, and we shouldn't be taking it for granted. And there are things that we can do, that we do control in this environment where there's so much that we don't. Lastly, taking action. You learn all of this stuff, and then what do you do with it? Is it just another motivational, inspirational training? If so, I'd rather you not show up. I'd rather you show up, get educated, implement the strategies, and then come back and tell me just how great it's working out for you. So, and I'm hearing that. So I thank God that there are people who are doing that, who can say for themselves, listen, I'm in the challenge. I'm doing the work. I've tried that budget and it's working. It's a sacrifice, but I'm on target. Like, imagine if we heard more of that. Like, that's encouraging, especially from people who look like us, from people who don't have a lot, right? Even that's a mindset that we got to shift out of. But when other people see that you're doing well with what you have, it's contagious. We just don't see it enough. We don't hear it enough. we don't know who's doing well because mostly everybody we know might not be doing so well. So how do we shift that? It starts at home. Financial leadership starts at home. So you cannot just sit on this information. It's not costing you anything but your time. I'm not charging you to be here, which I could be, right? But I'm not. And you literally only need a piece of paper and a pen and your bank statements to get started. That's it. That is it. So what else is in the way of you taking action? Don't say time, because I already told you had 10,000 minutes. What else? Sleep. You can sleep when you'd like, but don't prioritize sleep. It's the weekend. Like, what else? 30 minutes. So when all of these are together, you're intentional, you're deliberate, you are getting disciplined because you're now doing it on a weekly basis. You're learning what you don't know, so you don't feel like there's secrets being hidden from you. And when you learn it, you share it with others. And then you're not just sitting on it, you're taking action. When you do these things over and over again, I promise you, you're moving the needle. The needle is moving. It's going from here to there. It's no way possible for it not to. So again, when we think about where we are today is a result of where we were. It's a result of the decisions that we made or didn't make. So if we start making different decisions, we should start seeing different results. So simple, not rocket science, not a part of the secret either. The secret is not the secret. It's what you know. Okay? So take action. Claim your session. I want you to talk to me. If you have not reached out to a financial professional, you're not talking to anyone, you're not working with anyone, let's talk. It won't cost you anything. Right. Put on some jazz. Take the 30 minutes to do the budget. Thank you, Tanya. And make it a thing. Pour a glass of wine, have a beer, drink water, whatever, right? Like, do a virtual, well, that's what this was going to be. This was going to be a virtual budgeting session. But I had to take a step back and realize I'm putting the cart before the horse, or the other way around, you know the saying. So I'm like, I need to educate first on the types of budgeting. Then we can actually sit together and do our budgets. And that's what's going to be coming up in April. Coming up in April is going to be a session just like this. You'll hop on, but instead, you will have your bank statements. You will be pulling up your account information, and we will be budgeting on the session. So even for you to say, oh, I don't have time, you can use this next session to create the time. 30 minutes to hop on. I very well may do exactly what Tanya said, have some jazz playing, and I won't be talking. I'll probably chime in every now and again, but we will be working together on budgeting. So it's like, at the very least, register for the session so you create the time. And then once the session comes, make sure you have your bank statements printed out or pulled up on your phone, and whip out your pen and paper or the tracker or the 30-day look back, whatever. You can request all those tools from me, and voila, you're ready. And when you hop off the session, guess what? You're done. Budgeting done for the week. Check. I did it on the session. So, I love the inspirational, educational stuff, but I love to get you time to do the work. Like, that's important to me. So I like to make sure that these things are valuable. That is funny. It's like pulling teeth for me, but I owe it to myself to follow these rules. I will try the jazz or some smooth music. I will probably get drunk with the wine and your numbers. And think about that information, right? Think about what you're going to get from doing this. Like, you're going to be in the know like never before. And it's just a mindset shift. Anything that is worth doing is worth going through. It's worth it to budget. Let's go through it then. Let's get to it. Let's go through it. There's no other way around it. And again, how else could you get this information? How else could you know if you're overspending in an area that you don't even want to be overspending in? And more importantly, I keep getting questions like, well, what should I do with my money? Should I invest right now? You might be investing in a company. Let's go with Target. You may be going to Target way more often than you need to, or way more often than you like. And you may find that you don't have any investments. You don't own any stock. You don't have any assets or anything. Budgeting is going to find money you didn't think you had and allow you to redirect that money to areas that matter most to you. Well, when I teach you about the savings framework, if you haven't learned it already, 5 types of savings, one of those types is investments. You can then say, you know what? I used to spend $250 at Target. Now I spend $125 at Target. And I took that other 125 and I bought stock in Target. Now I own a piece of Target. I'm not just a consumer. I'm a producer. I'm an owner. I have assets. And in a time like this where people are finding prices are down, stocks are cheap, they keep asking me, should I buy? Should I buy? I have various responses to that. But you're right, things are on sale. But are you positioned to buy them? What is your budget telling you you can do? You're spending at Target, but do you own Target? You spent on Nike, but do you own Nike? This is the kind of shift. This is the kind of transformation that Master My Money is all about. Master My Money is about that kind of a shift. Ownership, assets, net worth with what you already have. If you never made any more money, if you never came into anything else, what are you going to do with what you have? That's what these strategies are all about. And I'm so glad you're going to be there, Tanya. I'm looking forward to it. So as we wrap up, bit.ly/C-session. Let me move this out of the way so you can see it properly. bit.ly/C-session. That's how you can schedule your free consultation. Let's talk. Don't go through 2020 not talking to a professional. And I promise you, if you decide that you want to work with me, it will not kill you. I'll even tell you now, there's a new package I have. It is called the New Client Coaching Package. And it is 3 months of private one-on-one coaching with me, not anyone on my team, directly with me, for $500. And there is a payment plan available. Now, when we get on the call, and if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, I will probably suggest that. It's a new client package. If we've never worked together, that would be the option. Of course, I have other things as well, but that's the one that I feel is within reach for most people. You can spend $500 on getting the support. So this doesn't have to break you. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times we don't know, so we don't take advantage of things. But if you don't take the call, if you've never talked with a professional before, if you've never worked with anyone, how will you know? And it's not cost prohibitive. You can put a deposit down for $125. That'll get you started, and then you have a payment plan. So I've made it as affordable as I can, but at the same time, I have a book. So you could get the same strategies from the book. If you can't afford $500, you can afford $25, right? Like, there are ways to make this work for you without breaking your bank. So I've got to get that in your mindset, that Whatever you need, you can get the help for, and it doesn't have to break you. But this session that I'm offering is free. I just want to talk to you. I want to know what's on your mind, and I want you to know that you have a resource you can reach out to. It's not going to hurt you, okay? So, what's on your mind? You asked great questions during the session. What other questions might you have? Any questions about what was covered today, what wasn't covered? I will take some time to to answer some questions. And if not, I will present this information, which is my contact info, for you to be able to reach out to me so that, if you want any of the templates, I can send you that. You just have to shoot me an email. I'm going to leave the burden on you to send an email for whichever template you may like. I'd be happy to send it to you. And then you'll have what you need. And again, let me put the bit.ly link here so you could check that out if you want as well. And I saw your question. Thank you for giving me professional time. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love educating. It's what I do. It's the cornerstone of my business. Everything starts with education, because then you can move forward with what you know. We don't want to move forward with assumptions and what you think. We want to move forward with what you know. And once you know, can't nobody take this away from you. I really appreciate you as well for showing up. And please feel free to send the link to someone after, because I will put the replay up and they will be able to get the replay. So the link I just sent out is to schedule a free discovery session. Let's talk. Love to hear from you. And I really appreciate you all showing up. If there aren't any other questions, I'm going to hop off. So I'll let you think about it. Any other questions? Thank you, Jeanette. I really appreciate you, sis. I appreciate everyone for showing up. Everything in divine order. And again, this is your educational investment for the week. So you left with some education this week. Let's put it to work. What is the link for the replay? I'm going to send it out via email. So because you registered, you will get the replay, and then you'll be able to send the link out. But you can actually send the link out, the same link that you used to get on, send that out, and then anyone that registers will automatically get the replay. So I prefer it that way, that they actually register like you did, but instead of it being live, they'll just get the replay emailed. And then you all will get the replay emailed as well as soon as I download it. It'll probably take me about an hour or two to get it downloaded and queued up to get out an email. Absolutely, absolutely. So replay will be coming. Give me about 2 hours to get that out, but feel free to send the same link that you got. Send that out to whomever, and when they register, they will automatically get the replay. All right. You all have a blessed night. Everything in divine order. Stay safe, and peace and blessings. All right.